latest episode of Enterprising Minds. Alex and Dave here with you today. We are going to be riffing on a topic that I've been thinking about quite a bit, lately as I've been experimenting with different things. And Alex is coming in blind, so we'll find out what his reactions are to my ranting. But so, the big news recently is the ChatGPT 5 flop, entrance, whatever you want to call it. I don't necessarily think it's a flop. But like most ChatGPT stuff, they're bad at rolling things out. They're engineers. They're not marketers. You can tell. And then I've been experimenting with automation, automating workflows, like trying to be smarter about leveraging these tools in a new way. But then also realizing all of the kind of pressure that's being put on people when you go and look at LinkedIn or YouTube or anything else, even if you're just trying to, make yourself better, smarter marketer. It gets you going. So first things first is with make.com. I've been trying to go through that, and Alex, you talked on an earlier episode about N8N is another option. Zapier is kind of the OG option. And essentially, if you're unfamiliar with what these things do, they connect basically like one tool to another, and then you map sort of tasks, so you can have it watch like a YouTube playlist and then capture the link and the video data and everything else and put it in a Google Sheet, right? That's a really basic thing. And then you can create these sort of strings of these things to then automate social posting, from a blog creation, from yada, 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 right? And what was interesting is like, okay, it forced me to look at what am I actually doing? How is it systematized? Where are kind of the choke points of things, right? And that was a fascinating thing. But then as I've been looking up, because this like semi-coding world of connecting this to that is brand new to me. And so I've been on YouTube trying to find answers on how to do it, watching it. And there's this one YouTube video that's just, as a communications person, as a marketer, it's pissing me off. And I want to skip it. It's a video ad, okay. Right? And it's this cartoon pencil character. And it's sitting there going, let's be real. If you're over 40, you're using ChatGPT like Google. And there are teenagers building businesses and you're only using it like this. And it's like, all right, hold up. The first thing you do with a target audience is insult them. Screw you, man. Like, also, there's just a lot wrong with that premise. But I think it just goes to show, like with the AI stuff, it's yet again more people trying to act like they have the answers and they're smarter than you, when really everybody's just figuring it out. And if you figure it out for your own workflows and your own ways, and it improves your processes just a little bit, that's a win.
Yep.
Who cares if a 15-year-old is building a multi-million-dollar thing? You know what you have that 15-year-old doesn't? Friends. So go through and do that. And have a more balanced life and just figure it out. Right. So anyway, I'm going to step off my platform. And now that Alex has nervously drank out of his water bottle, we'll get your opinion.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say kind of similar thing. You talked kind of the pre-show about kind of the FOMO that's being put on marketers right now, of you're missing out because you're not doing a complete AI-based workflow for everything.
Right.
And that's such a false assumption because one, every time you have any of those workflows or anything like that, they take a ton of time to build it and to
Right.
troubleshoot it and to fix it. Like I was trying to have ChatGPT recently do like meta descriptions. I had like, I don't know, maybe 10 of them to do.
Right.
And it was just, I was thinking, great, I got the URLs. I'm going to throw them into ChatGPT. It's going to create a meta description. It's like, okay, under 155 characters, has to have a call to action, da 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 da, right?
Yeah.
And it responds with the exact same meta description for all of them. And I was like, okay, also make it unique.
Right.
Like, just like, did I have to say this? I guess I had to. I said, with best practices and stuff like that, but apparently unique didn't trigger. So then it spit them out, and some of them were like 10 characters and some of them were 200. And I was like, no, I said 155, like
Right.
max, like between 50 and 155. And then eventually we came to the point of like, maybe I should just wrote it myself. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. And then
Right.
it was too small to get like a scale kind of benefit efficiency kind of gain off of it because of that iterative aspect of it. And then that's the other piece is like work is very custom. The random scenarios that you hit are going to be different than the ones that I'm going to hit in my same day. And even if we're both talking website, content strategy, whatever, blog posting,
Right.
you try to really refine it down, it's still different. So none of these tools are going to be able to be applied in the exact same way. Instead, it's going to have to be custom to your needs and approach.
Hmm.
So this whole like fear of missing out kind of thing is like there's so many. I mean, speaking of like that ad, there's so many assumptions being built into that. I
Right.
mentioned before how hard it is to find an AI tool that will redo the design of an existing website. There's tons of
Hmm.
them out there that will give you a brand new website because that's easy. There's no requirements. And the little prompt that you put in are the very light requirements that exist, and it spits out a site, and the site therefore hits all of your requirements. A very different scenario is I have 2,000 pages of copy. I'm going to try to redo the design and layout of, the 15 templates that were, static created behind the thing. I mean, all the rest of this kind of stuff. Like the scenario gets more and more complex and then it starts to falter and starts to fall apart. So, and
Hmm.
you also mentioned the pre of like, creating 20,000 blog posts. Like, yeah, you can, but it's not you. It's not your personality. It's not your level of, quality that you would expect to be associated with your name. And even if you have like a pen name or false name or something like that, that you're trying to like produce and create this whole thing, end of the day, it's still questionable. What are you creating and
Right.
why? Like, is it really satisfying to do that? I've actually, I'll let you respond to that. And then I got another point
Hmm.
about basically ChatGPT telling me to do things and my resistance.
Well, no, I was just thinking like because of the old careers, right, that we've had in
Mhm.
SEO, I'm following this. Oh, what are they calling it now? AIO, GEO,
Yeah, yeah,
SEO, whatever the new acronyms are, and everybody's
right,
trying to sell their version of it.
right.
Which, okay, great. I notice the hustle. I respect the hustle, but like, guys, it's the same thing as what we did 15 years ago, and it still just requires that you create good content and have it up and you have it marked up with the schema properly if you need to have schema, and you have internal links, and you're doing all of these other things to represent yourself correctly. The game hasn't changed.
No,
It's a
really
new
not.
wrapper. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all it is. So, um, when you talk about well, what's the purpose of the content, I think we can go down that rabbit hole. But I'll bounce back to you for your example that you wanted to.
Oh, I was going to go in a slightly different direction of just some of the technical like troubleshooting that I've been doing with ChatGPT has been
Hmm.
helpful. However, I do notice, and this is my own personality too, I don't like being told what to do.
Yeah,
I like to
exactly.
have my own, like, there's an aspect of, I realize of my personality that I am a self-driven person,
Hmm.
which has negative aspects to it. Of one, I need a good goal to be running after,
Right.
or at least a defined goal. If I don't have one, that's hard for me.
Same.
And then two, I like to figure out my own process of getting there. That's why like agile methodology of, you have in its true sense, you have a product owner who states this is the outcome we want, and then the
Hmm.
team goes at it however they do. They come up with their method. You don't, prescribe a method that they have to follow. You don't give them 10 steps or even like 3 steps to start with. You say, this is what we're going after. You do you.
Hmm.
That works for me because I like to go at things my own way because if I understand that goal, I'm going to drive toward it in my own way.
Right.
Difficult, more difficult, at least for me, then to have, um, software or anything, honestly, give me the step-by-step design of how exactly something needs to be built. And of course, it makes mistakes and has problems and stuff like that as well.
Hmm.
And there's a piece of me that always resists that because I'm not being creative and learning by troubleshooting myself. I'm not figuring it out my own way of kind of giving my own hands-on approach. Instead, I am the robot to the piece of software. I'm just following its instructions step by step instead of, hey, where do I think I need to find this, particular, report, graph, whatever, where should I look? Well, let me look around. Yep. Under here, no. Under here, no. Under here, okay, that makes sense. Next time, I'm going to remember that.
Right.
If I'm just following instructions, though, I'm just clicking the third one from the right and going down two and clicking it. Like it's not bringing it into my repertoire as the same way. So then I start to struggle with I'm not actually learning this tool. I'm not gaining skills that I can use next time or even different job, different project, different whatever, different scenario. I don't have the skills. I'm not building them up in the same way if I struggled through it and built it myself the first time around.
Right.
So
And that's
that's a
one of
little
those
bit,
problems with the efficiency idea, right? I mean, we've always talked
yeah,
about productivity and efficiency. And if you ever do anything for the first time, it's always going to take you longer because
yeah,
you're learning.
right. Takes
That's
you
the
to
whole
school.
thing of expertise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're kind of shortcutting some of that expertise by going too much on the tool heavy aspect of it.
Hmm.
Like creating a fantastic blog post off of, your prompt is way different than learning how to write like that.
Right.
Like if you gave it a good first draft at the beginning and then say, critique this, give me advice on it, and allow me to fix it and update it, like you would be learning how to write really good quality
Right.
content.
Right.
Or you can throw out a ton of slop really, really fast.
It was interesting with ChatGPT 5, my experiment, one of the experiments I had for it. And since the release, I've actually been finding myself going to Gemini more. And
Oh,
I
what?
have to figure out why.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's sort of a red herring, but I'm gonna put that out there. So I wanted to write a newsletter, which go subscribe to Pathways. You'll see the link in the description. Um, where I talk about a specific episode of the This Old Marketing podcast that really had me thinking, and it was about SEO and the AI reality, kind of where we're at. And in the episode, Robert Rose pitches this idea of the mullet content strategy, right? Where it's you have all of the kind of main stage good content in the front, and then in the back end you have all the markup, all the data, all the everything, so that the robots can interpret it. And but then it went into something, and where I started thinking about it was through reputation management, because one of his main ideas was so with SEO, it's just indexing your content and then linking to it.
Hmm.
There's nothing there, right? But AI is interpreting everything you put out and then delivering it. So you're essentially adding this reasoning engine or this perception engine in between you and your customers. So now the content you wrote 15 years ago that may not have aged well or you were young in your career and didn't quite understand the nuances, so you look kind of silly for saying it. um, all of that content is now being used as data to shape the perception of you,
Mm.
the creator, and what it is you stand for and what it is your company, if the company is the entity, what it stands for based on all of these years of data that it's been creating, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I was thinking about that, and I said, hey, here's some like here's the podcast that really got me thinking. um I want to write a newsletter on this, and I have my own notes. Here are the notes that I took that for what I thought was interesting on it, and help me write this newsletter. But before I finish speaking, or like putting in the stuff, ChatGPT is just like, all right, great, here's this newsletter, blah. And all it did was go to the transcript URL that I put in, which all I wanted to do was reference, here's a great podcast. It got me thinking, right? That's all I wanted it to do. But instead, it took that, read the transcript, created an entire email without even waiting for me to do the rest of it. Right now, this might have been because I was on voice mode or something. And I was like, oh my God, stop being so like eager to help. Like, just wait, and like I finally had to like cut it off and say, do not interrupt me. Do not do
Yeah.
do all of these things where it's just like, I'm not interested in your own thoughts. Don't ever give me that clicking noise in the background. That is so distracting. I don't need that. I don't want that. And like, um, and it was this whole thing. So I stopped, and I'm like, all right, screw it. I'm going to write it myself. And I just, I dictated it. I mean, most of the time I'm writing the newsletters myself anyway, right? But I wanted to do the experiment to see what was going on. But it was like, oh my God, this is unusable. Like, stop it.
I had no idea it had sound effects. I never
Oh
do.
God, yeah. To let you know it's thinking or like typing something out. It'll be like, tick, 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 tick. I'm like, stop it,
Oh, wow.
stop
I would see the
it.
benefit of that.
Like, yeah. Um. So anyway,
Yeah.
what's your takeaway from everything I just said?
I mean, the main one is that it has its purpose. And I mean, you mentioned about like less on the critique side of it, but I would almost kind of reverse and say more on the critique side than the result output side. So there's a sycophancy aspect to ChatGPT, which frustrates the hell out of me. I've mentioned it
Yeah.
quite a few episodes about basically it always tells you that you're amazing and you're great and this is a wonderful idea. What a great, solution and all the rest. Instead of saying, well, that's an okay idea, but I mean, here's something you probably should consider, or, a little bit of some balance and criticism that allows me to get a better response out of it. Went down a rabbit hole with ChatGPT recently. I was looking at like Etsy businesses, 3D printing on demand, because you can have it printed and then shipped directly to a customer.
Hmm.
Let's play around with this idea. What's the profit numbers, demand numbers,
Right.
Etsy restrictions, which there's significant ones. Um, and it kept going down a rabbit hole that, quite honestly, from a reasoning aspect, I kept looking at being like, this is unusable.
Right.
Like this is just a bad idea. And instead of doing that, it kept trying to like appease me of like, oh no, this is great. But we could do that. I mean, it's like it's trying so hard, it's so eager, but at the same time, it's like, no, I'm looking for realistic financial numbers. That's a whole exercise. It was basically just a scenario
Right.
and to see if it's a viable method and if it isn't. And quite frankly, it isn't. Like, no.
Right.
Or you're putting out some really crap product, which is the other side of it, because it doesn't really understand the reputation side of it either. Of if you were to put out this piece of content associated with you,
Hmm.
or you go down this rabbit hole of auto response to sales inquiries or really junky products online, those are bad.
Yeah.
Those are just objectively bad. And it could suggest, quality methods because like, oh, your ratings are going to be really bad on this unless you were to, be creative about it. And here's some ways to do it. It doesn't push back like that. And
Hmm.
then it's not education. It's just a little, task rabbit running off and, your little gopher. It does what you asked it to do, but
Yeah.
you're not building reputation. You're not building expertise. You're not building towards something greater. You're staying at that flat same level that you're at right now. You're just doing it faster
Right.
sometimes.
Right. And what's interesting when ChatGPT opened up the like custom instructions,
Yeah.
remember like way back,
Yeah.
one of the first things I did was stop communicating to me like you're Californian coders. I don't like it. It's too optimistic and just I don't trust it. So stop it.
Hmm.
It's
No,
like,
there's
okay,
a,
I won't be so positive. I'm like, thank you. Now it's more trustworthy.
yeah, I mentioned before that Monday one that ChatGPT or like
Hmm.
OpenAI produced. It's a very dark one, but honestly, I respected it more and got more value out of it
Right.
because it wasn't so chipper all the time about every single task. Instead, it was much more critical. And I was like, yeah, it's funny. They always talked in college and high school, like, oh, one of your main skills is going to be, in the future, no matter what, it's going to be critical thinking. And I was like, it seems like such a, like what, common sense? Like, that seems like there's such a weird phrase to say, like, oh, critical thinking is going to be a
Hmm.
main skill.
And then you look around the room with who you're graduating with, and you're
Yeah,
like,
and then it kind of
yep.
makes sense. Where are they now? In jail.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that is still a missing point. Really interesting. I mean, just sorry, I just want to go down the rabbit hole a little bit of what you're saying about the reputation online aspect of
Yeah. Yeah.
in the future, which might be today, you could look at an applicant for a job and say, ChatGPT, who is this person? Are they any good for this job? Here's the job description.
What do they
Or
think of this
knowing
topic?
exactly, or knowing what
Yeah.
you know about my company, are they a good fit? Or are they not? Like, show me a
Yep.
pro con list of these 15 different people's resumes and also what you find on them online, and now compare them and see if they're going to fit. And it's like, no, your culture is more like this and they're more like this. I mean, be tough. I've heard of some of this. This was about 2 years back of some developers feeling like there's an online profile of them that's being used based upon their job search. And there was a little bit of evidence and quite a bit of assumption. But if you think about like GitHub, it's a little bit more username focused, so you'd have to prove ownership or
Right.
validity that you actually are that person. Um, but there is ways to have evidence online. Harder for SEOs because a lot of times, I mean, you're editing a page, you're not writing it, you're doing edits to it, changes to it, but you're not going to sign your name on it.
Right.
Um, but if you were to look at some of the old companies that I worked for and the overall site SEO, and you're like, oh yeah, that's how well he is. No,
Hmm.
the constraints in, political games and technology and CMS and all the rest that I wasn't able to change. I don't want that held against me.
Right. Well, and that was yeah. I mean that's always been the problem with like influencer marketing or celebrity endorsements as they were called before
Yeah.
everybody was famous. Um, I remember I worked with Mia Hamm on a thing and the old soccer
Oh, cool. Yeah,
star.
absolutely. Yeah.
And but the project started around the time that Jared from Subway got thrown in jail for,
Yeah.
his nastiness. And then there was all this talk about oh my God, should we even be working with celebrities? And it's like, well, this is the risk that you take. Like,
It's
if you're going to have
reputation.
anybody endorse anything, you've got to have a vetting thing.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just have to you have to go through it, and it's good while it lasts, and disown it when it happens, right? See
Yeah.
the Kanye Adidas,
I was about to say, it's like that's a
relationship,
major
right?
one.
Yeah. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to think of that, because in some of the content marketing space, or the, marketing strategy spaces, the recommendation is get your employees to, be your influencers for the company. And you're like, okay, hold on. You can't just let anybody do that. Like, you have who represents your brand the best, who's actually willing to be on social,
Mm-hmm.
who's, are you going to carve out enough time for them to be creative and shoot the videos and shoot, do whatever you need to do for that. Like, that's a whole different program and a massive change for most organizations. Um, and yeah, I mean, there's an inherent risk there too, because all right, they might have been cool just to sit behind a desk and do whatever meaningless tasks you need them to do, but then, like, to actually be the face of the organization on, LinkedIn, like, mm-mm,
Mm-hmm.
mm-mm.
Gotta stick with the Geico Gecko, man. That's it. Don't have it be
Mm-hmm.
real. Just come up with a fictional character.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the Kia hamsters. They never even had anything, they never even said anything, right? They just showed up.
It's named pets.com, the little dog on
Sock
or
puppet.
puppet. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this episode is kind of a smorgasbord of everything, kind of a
Yeah. A little bit
hors
of
d'oeuvre platter. Um, Clearly a lot of things to think about. If you want more information on kind of the brand hygiene, mullet content strategy, reputation management stuff, go check out the newsletter. Um, and all the other things that we're doing on that newsletter. So yeah, we will see you in the next episode, and lots to think of. Share, like, subscribe. It helps everybody else get to us and learn from this. And until then, keep learning, keep asking questions, and thank you for listening.